Well, good morning and welcome back to my garden here in Neath, South Wales. It's the middle of June now and we've actually got some well-awaited rain, which is great for the garden. I thought today I'd just take you round and show you some of my favourite plants in the garden and some plants that are really easy to grow, starting with this Fatsia Japonica here. I've got a few of these dotted around the garden and they have quite tropical looking leaves and they're so easy to look after. Just pop them in and they basically look after themselves. Pretty strange in the winter. As you can see, all of the stems here face upwards, but when the weather goes quite cold, they all droop down towards the floor, making you think that that's the end of this plant. But as soon as the weather warms up again, up they spring and back to life. Look at these leaves. They do prefer a little bit of shade, but I've got a few of mine in sort of dappled sunshine and they do quite well. They come in different forms. This is just the basic Fatsia Japonica here. This one here is a Fatsia Spiders Web. Much lighter in colour, this one, and it definitely prefers more shade. And this one here is called a Fatsia Polycarpa. As you can see, they're much thinner leaves on these, also known as green fingers. A lovely form of the plant, this one. And here's another one behind of the ordinary Fatsia Japonica. This plant now is probably a good 4 to 5 foot tall. It's only been in the ground for probably 2 years. Fast growing, easy to look after, instant impact in the garden. One of my favourite filler plants in the garden is definitely Persicaria Red Dragon. These die back into a clump each winter, and then each spring they burst into life and they grow really tall. If they get a little bit too much, you can just cut them back and they soon grow back to a decent height again. I have these all around the bottoms of my bananas where they help to fill in bare spaces. And as you can see, they really help to fill out the garden. They look absolutely amazing. Just look how full this plant is here. And they're really enjoying the rainfall at the moment. No tropical garden would be complete without a Trachycarpus Fortunei. I've got 4 of these dotted around the garden. This is my favourite one. It's not the biggest in the garden, but it's definitely the greenest and probably the healthiest. Look at the new growth coming in there. This one in the island bed. This one is the newest addition to the garden. This one is still quite young, but it is growing and it really adds some impact into the centre of the garden bed. We bought this one last year and planted it in the garden. It's got a spectacular trunk, but the fronds have always been quite yellow. So this year I have trimmed them back, trimmed all the yellow growth away, and hopefully the new growth inside is going to be nice and green. It does look quite healthy, but it looks pretty strange now, so small on the top. I also love a cordyline in the garden. This one has been in the ground now for about 4 years. It was in a pot for many years, but it stayed quite small. And this year was the first year that it flowered, and you can actually see in there that the trunk has now split into 2. This is a lovely specimen of a plant and it grows pretty healthy. I love it right in the centre of the garden, and it gets the sunshine all day long here, when it's sunny of course. I also love a rhododendron in the garden. I plant them in ericaceous soil. They've all finished now, but when they are in full bloom, they really look beautiful. I've got a few of them dotted around the garden. Mine are only about a year old, so they're still pretty small. I also have lots of ferns dotted around the garden, all different types. These are hardy ferns, and I do trim back the foliage every spring, and they always surprise me with bright new foliage. And these are also one of my favourites. These are heart's tongues ferns. Again, I trim these back each spring, and they always come back with beautiful green leaves. You can't beat some bamboo in the garden. These add a little bit of height and structure, and they also look beautiful all year round. All of the ones that I've got in the garden are clumping forms, as I won't put anything that's going to run into the neighbour's garden. But these look beautiful next to the pathway. It doesn't take long for them to grow into magnificent specimens. These have been in the ground, for probably about 2 years now. They went in as small plants, and look at the size on this now. I do have one golden bamboo, which is a running style of bamboo, so I keep this in a pot. It looks absolutely beautiful just outside my back door. I also love Alstroemeria in the garden. I had 2 of these plants, and I bought them last year, but sadly one of them didn't overwinter too well and died. It was quite strange really, as they were only about 2 foot apart, and this one has come through wonderfully. Look at the beautiful flowers on these. They give such a tropical vibe in the garden. I've also got this beautiful Tetrapanax in the garden. This is the 2nd year for this plant that it's been in the ground, and this year it's really come through with some magnificent size. Look at the size on these leaves. They're absolutely wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed your little trip around the garden today, looking at some of my favourite plants. Why not subscribe to my channel, and I'll leave you now with some footage of the garden today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.